To the City of New Franklin Council meeting for November 5th. We're going to start tonight's meeting with a presentation from Steve Kristen,
Yes.
with Loomis Fiber to talk about a community-wide fiber initiative.
Steve, yeah, no, that can stand up, I'm only take a minute. I'm really pleased you're here, they're gonna have to resettle. If you're not aware, we are vastly underserved when it comes to internet access here in the city of New Franklin. And we still have wide swatches of land that don't have access at all. We have houses that are within a half mile of where we sit that don't have access. So, I don't know if it's the hills, valleys, or whatever, over the many years, and particularly during the COVID years, we got busy and talked a lot to Spectrum and to AT&T about trying to expand the internet access to some areas that weren't served, and it was prohibitively expensive. And so Lumos Fiber has come and talked to us, and they have a project that I think might be very attractive to the city. So,
Okay, thank you, Mayor. If you don't mind, I'll sit on this side
wherever you're comfortable at.
so I can talk to you instead of in front of you. So, red envelopes, glass tubes, and wind. Red envelopes, glass tubes, and wind. That's really what I'm going to talk about today. My name is Mayor City Steve Kristen. I'm the Director of Market Development for Lumos Fiber, and we'll go through in a moment on what they are. But I want to talk to you a little bit about how many of you woke up this morning. If you're like a lot of people, you wake up, first thing you do is you grab your cell phone. You take a look at what the weather's like, maybe look at the news, perhaps you look at email, you start sending text messages. And many times we get so entrenched in that. From a previous study that I saw probably about 3 or 4 years ago, 86% of the usage of the phone has nothing to do with phone calls. It's dealing with apps. In fact, it's funny you mentioned apps and what have you. 10, 15 years ago, the whole concept of app never existed. And now there's millions of people making money by writing apps. What we're talking about is how technology has changed. So when I mentioned red envelopes, how many people remember this? So what was it? This was Netflix, right? And it was all about sending a CD to you, right? And remember, you used to watch it and then quickly run to the mailbox and send it in because you wouldn't get a next one until you sent that one back. And it's interesting how things have changed now. Talking about CDs, well, in the old days, when they had CDs, they were using red lights. And how many remember the laser pointers? That was red. And then later on, this thing called Blu-ray came out. Remember Blu-ray, what was the difference? Besides a red light, it went to blue, right? The difference was not the size, but rather the technology. The blue light could handle a lot more data. And now what we're talking about is glass tubes. I can pass this around. It's a plastic tube, but there's glass inside of it. It's what we call fiber optic cable. And what it is you go to the older technology used copper, either telephone or coax. What we're using now is light. It holds the data and you send it through. What makes this important is it holds a lot more data. And why is that important? Well, if you go back 10, 15 years ago, we weren't doing cloud computing. We weren't doing online learning. We weren't doing online searches. In fact, we weren't doing that much online except getting data to come down to the computer. So the old technology, and I spent 35 years with AT&T, the old technology was really designed to bring data down. If you remember the old movie, You Got Mail? That was all about information coming down. Now we're sending information down and up. And that's where fiber comes into play. So fiber sends the data through light. So it's as fast as the speed of light. It also travels in the sense that it's the same speed up and down. And so I just have a quick little presentation here for you. So what Lumos is, we're a small company, about 1,000 people right now. 2 years ago, we were 500. We expect to be over 2,000 by the next year or so. We were in 3 states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. We entered in July of 2024, we entered Ohio. I was with the Eastgate Regional Council of Governments at the time. I was a broadband coordinator, and I recruited them to come to Ohio. The reason is Ohio ranks 38 out of 51 states in fiber and internet. That's not a good spot to be. 5 years prior to that, we were in the bottom third. Now we're in the bottom quartile. So we need fiber. The access for fiber is really how you look toward the future. So when you talk about what we're doing, we're looking at the demands of the future. We're trying to build a network now. When we build a network now, it takes about 3 to 4 years. Wi-Fiber, as I mentioned to you, is faster. It's more reliable. We do primarily underground work. And I talked about wind. Anybody notice the wind as you were traveling here? Pretty windy. What happens when it gets windy? A lot of times power goes out. Why does power go out? Because telephone poles get knocked down. I also worked in the state of Florida. And down in Florida, you got to worry about hurricanes. Here we worry about tornadoes and wind. And sometimes you have car accidents can hit telephone poles. So 80% of our build is underground. We believe it's safer and better. When you look at what's happening in the house today, the average house has 21 connected devices. Think about that. You're talking smart TVs, you're talking Wi-Fi connected devices, PC, tablets. Maybe you have a smart HVAC system. You want to check maybe your security system's on cameras. Each camera is tied to the internet. So think about it. As you put more and more data on that internet, you need to have more broadband, more speed, more bandwidth. And that's where fiber comes into play. Also, economically, a study was done and it talked about the benefits to a homeowner. Well, the average house resale value goes up 3.5% to 5% just by having fiber available. The mayor mentioned that there's a lack of fiber in New Franklin. I can tell you this, by bringing more fiber, it's going to help you attract more people to the area. It's going to also help you retain people. And I know there's a new development coming up in the, is it Wake 9?
Waterman.
Water 9. I actually just talked to him yesterday, so thank you for connecting. As you look at that, you want to be able to attract businesses and residents to either work or live or both here. And fiber can help do that. We asked what do people most desire on an amenity for a household? Out of all those items, the laundry room was number one. Number two is high-speed internet. So what we're seeing is people have a demand for it. They're using it now, and that demand is going to just increase over time. This one is which perceived to be the best out of fiber to the home, FTTH, cable modem, wireless DSL, or low orbit satellite. 63% said they perceive that fiber to the home is the best. So what we're doing is we're here to try to improve the lives of people in New Franklin. So what does that mean? Well, we're not going to be going on telephone poles. We're going underground. What that means, there will be a little bit of disruption. So there's an area on the street between basically the house and the middle of the street. There's an area called the right-of-way, public right-of-way. And this is where telephone poles go. This is where your water lines go, your electric lines. And we're going to be putting in conduit, which is tubes, that the fiber will go inside. There'll be a little disruption, obviously, but there'll be a short-term pain for a long-term gain. And we have a whole process that we use in terms of letting people know what's going on. One of the things that comes up, I'm on the City of Canfield Planning and Zoning Board, and I'm talking mostly to the council members here. Last thing I want is a resident to come to me and say, Steve, what's going on in my city? There's a project here, and me not know anything about it. So what we do, we over and over communicate. So as a typical homeowner, what you're going to see is you'll get something in the mail, direct mail piece. You'll get a door hanger. You also get a yard dart, and then we sandwich boards. Those are all timed anywhere from 100 days out to like a week or two before we do the construction. And what's special about this is there's a QR code plus an 800 number. This 800 number goes to a service that's in North Carolina. They speak English. They record the calls. If you have a problem, you have a question, they can answer it. They're required to respond within 24 hours. And you can call everything from, I had a lady call through that, she was blind and had a little dog, and she was concerned because we were gonna perhaps dig up and affect her invisible fence. So she called us ahead of time, and we were able to monitor and go around that. Because you'll see every so often, as you drive around the road, you see these those little flags, blue flags, yellow flags, orange flag. Well, those mean that there's something underneath in the ground. Well, when you put an electric fence in, you don't notify the people that do those flags, so they don't know about it. So we encourage people to call us, write us, stop us when we're out there and say, hey, I've got an electric fence. Please don't damage it. And so we're really good at that. Our folks are really targeted on customer service. And in fact, I've worked with several different companies, and between the different companies, I've never worked with a company such as Lumos that's so focused on restoration. And restoration means making it better, or at least as good as we left it, if not better. You know, we had one incident in North Carolina where they were prized petunias. We didn't know that, so we damaged them. We went to Lowe's to replace them. Unfortunately, you can't. They were 25-year-old special petunias, so you can't necessarily replace that. But we tried. But so the point is, as you see our folks in the neighborhoods, and you get the yard dart, you get the sign, call the 800 number and say, hey, you know, I want you to know I have this prized possession petunia, that sort of thing. So that's really what I want to do today. Let you know, I mean, we're open to whatever questions you might have. I don't have to come back. What I don't want to do is I don't want to be the guy that talked forever and never get invited back.
Have you determined what areas you're gonna serve?
The question is, what areas are we going to serve? So typically, and so the mayor and us and Brian and some other folks, we met 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Did they show you, Brian, the KMZ file?
Yeah.
Okay, so what a KMZ file is a map of the streets that we're going on. It's an electronic map. It's kind of like Google Maps or Google Earth. If you see Google Earth, it reads KMZ files. And did they go street by street with you at this point?
Showed me the main loop and then all the adjacent
Okay.
legs off of that are gonna go.
Okay,
I
so
brought
typically
it-
the way we come into a market, we look at the areas that we want to serve in. Generally, we service the whole community. If you look at, like, City of Youngstown, we're doing some of City of Youngstown, some of Warren, Champion, Girard, Liberty right now. We started Friday in Columbus area. So we come in, it's a long project. Usually to do the whole county or the whole major part of the county is going to be up to 36 to 42 months. This will probably, did they give you an idea how long we'd be here in New Franklin?
No.
Okay, my guess is going to be about 6 months. It kind of depends on how fast we can get the locates those flags. Because if they can get those done quickly, we can get it quickly. I mean, we're doing City of Green, I think it's about 6 months. We've been in Green already. I think we're about 6 months total. What we'll do though, we sit down, we want to do the whole community. Because nothing is more challenging than have to explain to a resident why he got internet and he who lives next door doesn't get it, or across the street, or two blocks away. So our intent is to get the whole community here, yes. So that's really all I had. I mean, I'm open to whatever questions you guys may have. I appreciate giving me the time and effort here.
So you talk about you're in a county. Are you doing the county-wide fiber network? And then when you talk about you want to do the entire community, you're talking about streets that have 3 or 4 houses on them that might be miles long. You're going to get fiber to them also. So the residents that don't have cable or currently, you're going to provide that for them also.
So let me see if I heard the question. Let me answer it. If I
There are a
did,
couple questions in
yeah,
there.
our intent is to service as many customers as we can. I hesitate about saying every single household is going to get it, because there may be a street that we miss for whatever reason. I mean, it could be, it's 3 miles and there's one house on that, we're probably not going to reach them. But our intent is to get as many people as we can. The reason for that is it's a volume thing, think of it that way.
Sure.
The more people we can reach, the more opportunities we have to get more customers. So we want to reach as many as we can. And it really doesn't cost that much extra to get another street, since we're in the city in general. I'd also say at this point, we don't have plans to do the entire county Summit. The reason for that is we look at people that are underserved. And when we say underserved, what we mean is they don't have fiber. The government sometimes says underserved, meaning they have no internet. So when I look at your house, if you have, say, cable and maybe DSL, to me that's unserved. So I want to go after you. If by chance you were an area like Fairlawn that may have 3 providers, they're already selling fiber, we'd rather take our efforts and place somewhere else, come to New Franklin, as opposed to be the 4th provider in Fairlawn. So we're not going to do the whole county from that standpoint.
So what's your purpose of being here today? Just to let us know you're coming
Yes.
and doing this? Is that permission, or say, hey, we want you or don't want you?
Well, I would like to say, hey, this is great, we want you.
Sure.
We met with Brian today, some of our engineering team, to talk about the permitting process. So I talked about the public right-of-way. That's an area that the public has access to it via the utilities. And then the city can manage that. And there's some things you can do to recover some of your costs involved in that and so forth. So we meet with Brian and we go through that whole process.
We talked about that when we visited, and they're a public utility, and so in that sense, they don't need the city's consent, as you know. But you know, I was impressed that they were sensitive to that. Lumos was. One of the other questions you asked. This is totally separate from the fiber ring
Okay.
that the county's putting in. This is a different animal altogether. We will look at some routes and see maybe there'll be some coordination of when they're digging here, if the county's doing that, because the county's going to be getting started sometime in January. I'll talk a little bit about that in my report. So that's a different function. It's not designed to allow the private systems to attach to it.
So Summit Connect is funded by ARPA dollars, and they're probably about halfway through. I don't know. I think
There may be more than that, even 70% or so.
So we've met with them several times. We're looking, is there a way that we can partner with them? They are really focused on connecting government and doing the first response and emergency services.
Right.
We're focused on residential fiber to the home. Now, that said, if there's a street that they're going down and they're opening up, let's say a trench, there's no reason for us to not go in that at the same time. It doesn't make sense for me to go in 2 months after they just came through. So we want to coordinate that if we can. It's great. And we're totally private funded. We're not asking for any money, no public dollars for this at all.
Okay. I still have questions about coverage because we're a pretty big city land-wise, and we have a huge part of our population in this area. Then you get out on the west side, and it's more scattered with pockets of neighborhoods. Your plan is to be out in that area also.
So did they talk about that?
Well, they're getting back to me on that.
Okay. So last time we were here, I got a map of the city from Brian, and we're looking at it with the map that we initially planned out. I want to be real open. I don't want to commit to every single house in the city.
I understand.
Yeah.
We're going to continue a conversation on that. I received it, I haven't opened it, and haven't looked at the map up to this point. But as we talked previously, what we're going to do is then sort of do an overlay, because we know where the unserved areas are. And we determined that during COVID. And so we'll sort of do an overlay and see where you are. And if it's not particularly in Lumos's plans, then we'll be talking to Lumos about incorporating it in your plans. And, we don't have leverage in that regard, but if you go, I don't know it. I don't know the company. We just met. Their references are excellent. I asked them why New Franklin, and part of it, I think, I don't mean to answer for you, but I'm willing to, is that, well, they're in green already. And so we're a contiguous neighborhood, and we have, there's a need, so it makes sense. When if you go on their website, you'll see some fabulous stuff that they're doing. So it seems like a really solid group, and somewhere between optimistic and confident that, you know, if it's a stretch to get to some of those really badly served areas, that we'll try to work with you to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Yeah, so we, I mentioned that we were in 3 states, we came in Ohio. Right now, we're actually in 10 different states, so we're expanding pretty quickly. I also share some time down in Florida. We have 6 counties down there. We're building pretty fast. We're about to announce 1, 2, 3 more counties. We got those approved by our board. There's about 8 other counties I'm looking at, Ohio, plus, I mean, because what we're doing is we want to get out there as quick as we can. It's all about speed, because the faster I can get it out there, the faster we can get service, and the faster we can recoup some of the costs. The other thing to keep in mind too, what a lot of the other companies do is they kind of take a long time to build, and then it seems like they take forever to sell it. We don't work that way. We build a neighborhood at a time. We call it FDH, and you probably talked about those, which is Field Distribution Hub, but we do a neighborhood at a time, anywhere from 300 to 500 homes. And then once they're done, they move to another FDH, another neighborhood, and 45 to 60 days after they leave that first neighborhood, they're offering service. The idea is, so that's why it's important for us to get in, but also do a good job when we're in. Because what's your name, ma'am?
Judy June.
Judy, if I mess up her yard and she's not happy with me, she's not gonna buy from me, right? And she's probably gonna tell 4 or 5 other people not to buy from me. I know Judy, right? So what we wanna do is make sure she's handled properly. If she's got a problem, she calls the 800 number, she called me. And the 800 number, it sounds like they get a voice recording. Usually get people during regular hours, and then they track everything. And then what will happen if, let's say there's a problem with the restoration in Judy's yard, she calls the next morning, our crew, the manager for this area, is actually gets an email and reaches out to her, and says, hey, how can we fix that?
And this is a high speed, this is a 2 gig, 2G, 2 what?
Yes.
To be or not to be?
So we have different speed levels. Right now in Youngstown, we're offering the 500 meg to start, then 1 gig and 2 gig. What the 2 gig is something, that's really what they're really, there's a special, let's say, I don't know what you call it, special, I don't want to say promo, because what they did, it's actually for $70, is you get 2 gig, and there's a 5-year price lock on it. In other words, you know, last thing you want to do, and I face this at home, I have my AT&T DSL, and I have a cable company, and I use both, and it's good, they have both, but prices keep going up, right? Every time you turn around, they kind of suck you in, and then prices go up. They have a 5-year price lock. I can't guarantee that it's going to do that nationally.
But you've done that other places.
They have, yes. And it's like $70 for 2 gig.
So I've got a handful of questions here. To kind of build on Mr. Cox's concern, is we do have a lot of underserved areas that don't have anything. Is there a way that council could get a view of the map as well, just if we have some concerns, we can relay those to the mayor?
It's public record, sure, we'll pass it around.
Yes, the last thing I want to do, I get where if you come to the more dense neighborhoods, you're going to get a lot of take right there, and it's going to be easier to build more profit. But, you know, get out on some of these roads, like Mr. Cox said, here, you might go miles and want to pass 2 houses. So we, you know, at least my intent would be, if we're here to truly help the people that are underserved, we're helping people that are underserved. So it'd be good to get that information and follow up with that.
Sure.
I'm assuming you guys are using directional boring? So with the county's project, I'm involved with a project north of here where we're doing fiber to the home. And they did not want to have any type of cooperation with doing co-boring or working at the same time. So we wanted to do the same thing. We're disturbing the area once.
The county did not?
They did not.
Oh, well, it was represented differently to us.
Yeah, so we offered that on a couple of the roads up there. So I'm assuming it's all fiber to the side of the house, fiber to the ground. Are you guys using like a pond system? Are you guys setting up?
Yes.
Okay, so are you guys using heads in the neighborhoods?
So, explain that question a little bit.
So you guys, throughout the system, you're going to have a system somewhere that's going to have a PEG set up somewhere that's going to operate the neighborhoods. You know, you could have multiple neighborhoods on that, but somewhere in somebody's yard there's going to be a new piece of equipment sitting.
So, okay. So we pick up the light. So we pick a spot. It could be a cell tower site. We don't use wireless, but we pick up the fiber there.
Right.
Or it could be a data center. Like in Akron, we're at the Volta Data Center. or in Summit County. We're down to data 360 down in Stark County. Youngstown, we've got a data center there. But some areas, we actually pick up the internet at the cell tower. We have a national agreement with SBA. And we do a ring. Typically, what you have when you talk about those boxes, we're flush mount with the every house, well, every 2 houses you'll have
Like a flower pot.
a flower pot, exactly, a flower pot with the connection point. And that way, when Judy wants it, I don't have to do a lot of work to get it. And I just open up and then do a little trench to her house. Now, in a typical FTH, you will have some bigger box somewhere, but typically only one.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess, Mike, so you're gonna have it's probably gonna be 5 by 3 or 5 by, there's gonna be somewhere you're gonna have cards in there that's gonna power up, because you're not gonna get that light from a single cell site to power the whole community.
It's not going to be that, it's not going to be 5 feet. But I can talk to you more about it. I don't want to mislead you,
So,
so.
that's it. I just wanna make sure if we're gonna plant one of these in somebody's yard, that we're looking at optimal places to put it, so we're not.
Well, and that's what, in talking with Brian, I don't know if you've seen, so when we submit the permitting plans, it'll be laid out on that, and then that's the time to make some adjustments. Yeah.
And then as far as your directional boring, you guys pop over the utility crossing?
If that's doable, we like to.
Okay.
Some communities surprisingly don't want us to.
Okay.
Yeah, they charge us like $50 a bottle, and it kind of messes up the financial piece, but yeah, we ideally want to.
All right, because the concern there is we do have some areas of sewer. I've seen
Yes.
where they bore right through a sewer lateral or a storm line or something like that, and it's not a problem today, but
Could
if
be.
you guys are back up, everything's restored, there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about that with septic and sewer lines. The idea is to identify that. So we first came out with the city mayor 6 months ago, maybe?
Right. I wasn't here for that one.
No.
Yeah.
But so we come out and typically talk to cities, municipalities 3 or 4 or 5 times before we actually start building. And just so we can address those questions. Yeah. Anything else? Yes?
There are a lot of homes in our community that are off the main road. We're about 800 feet off the main road. When Time Warner came in, we had to pay $1,000 to connect to the Time Warner. And then we got DSL with AT&T, and guess what? We had to pay again. 2 years ago, we went with Spectrum, had to pay another $1,500. Just let you know what your company policy is on homes that are not located right on the road.
That's a good question. I think we charge $4.99. That's just a joke. We typically don't charge. Now give me an address, I will find out exactly. Did that come up in a meeting? I've not been aware of any time we charged for a house like that. No. I know cable does,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but we don't. Yeah. Now, we're all about getting the service, and here's the thing, so when you look at how we build a ring, and that's probably what Brian saw. So think of it as like it's almost like a highway around the community, and then you have state routes that go around it, then you have county roads, and then you have city roads. And so we do the ring, and then we go in from there, and we typically do neighborhoods at a time. So we're not all over. You'll see our crews in one neighborhood building just that area, and then we move to another neighborhood and do that area and so forth. Good question, though. Yeah, I've never been asked that. That's something I never thought about, but thank you.
Because you've never had to pay.
But also, let me point out too, if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I have internet from the cable company or from the phone company, I like it, I really don't need this, I understand that. What I would say to you is, think of the time when you had one gas station on the corner, and what were you paying for gasoline? Then a second station opened up across the street, and what happened? And a third station opened up, what happened? You can still go to the same gas station, but your price could be typically less. Same thing with the internet. You may say, you know, I really like my cable company, that's fine. I can't guarantee prices come down, but I have seen it, I've been around enough time. I was with IBM out of college, I was with AT&T for a while, I was with regional council government at Eastgate, and our goal was to create competition because people want a choice. Most people tell me they don't like the idea they only have one option for internet. One option, I would say one option was a monopoly, 2 is a duopoly, 3, now you get competition. And what happens then? Prices go down with competition and services come up. I mean, it's funny because we talked about that 5-year price lock, and I got to tell you, I don't remember anybody talking about it. And now there's 3 other companies that I know they're talking about the 5-year price lock. No, actually, last month there was a 3, and now they're talking 5. Because
Well, we like the part where the costs go down.
yeah.
Hey, what we'll do, we'll get that map out to the council, and
Okay.
Steve, if there's more questions to follow, I'll funnel them to you.
Please do.
And then, and we'll be following up too, when I take a hard look at that, and
Okay.
with Katie and them, and if we know particular areas right now, we'll get into those specific discussions.
Okay, and thank you for the time.
And if everything rolls along, when do you say? January or so, did you say, or not?
Did they talk to you about January?
We just talked about permitting and all that. and
So I would say probably May or more around March.
Okay. All right.
You know, and if you want, if there's another group that you want me to speak with, love to speak with them. I got a couple of questions I got the answers for, but I'd love to speak more. Thanks, Steve. All right, thank you. Sure. Yes. That's what it is. I don't prices. Yes, so I want to make sure you have your That's the only space, but now there's space. Is that what they're
We're gonna start our committee meeting tonight. Our first committee is Mrs. Jones, Safety Committee.
Thank you. Resolution number 25R56. A resolution authorizing New Franklin to accept the fiscal year 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant and approving the purchase of 4 Stryker LP35 cardiac monitors and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. We had looked at these and ours were really, our vest was really in bad shape from what the chief said to us. And this grant,
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is something we passed last meeting, but there's a
Yes.
revision on it due to an incorrect pricing or something.
That's correct.
we passed it on October 15th.
It's just an amendment of the price.
And what we're amending is just the price. $203,082.27 is the correct price. And
The
our,
typo, and there was really no way to correct it without actually doing an amendment. Kind of just wanted to slash it out and fix it, but
Looks
I
like
thought the
$60
auditor might be
difference.
happier. Actually, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, I didn't mean to interrupt.
you didn't interrupt. I think you take that after me, Paul. I think you're pulling a Judy Jones when you interrupt.
We're
I
perfect.
always think that. But this is just an amendment to that. And I would, does anyone have any questions? Okay to waive this read? Then I will close the safety committee at 6:35.
Thank you. Our next committee is Laws and Ordinance, Mr. Wolf.
I'll open the Laws and Ordinance Committee at 6:35. We have Resolution 25R62, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a renewal of an intergovernmental agreement with the County of Summit and declaring an emergency. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, this is the direct indictment program. There's a couple ways for felony cases to work their way through the system, and one is what's known as a preliminary hearing, and they all start in a municipal court, which would be Barberton, and the preliminary hearing, they have to put on some evidence, requires testimony that there's probable cause to believe the felony was committed. That means the victims have to be present. Oftentimes, the police officer has to be present, and it can be expensive. Several years ago, they started what they call a direct indictment program. the Summit County Prosecutor's Office, in conjunction with the Municipal Prosecutor's Office and the law enforcement agency, will review these cases, and if it's one that, because oftentimes they get resolved, if it's a low-level felony. So they try to weed out the ones that are going to get resolved, and the ones that are going to go to the jury, they take them straight in. And it does away with the need for the preliminary hearing, which ends up saving the city a lot of money. So we've had it's been in place a number of years. There's been a couple options. I think we started a 2-year term in January of '23, and they forgot to send us a renewal. So that's why what you're asked to approve here is the renewal of the agreement for 2025, even though we're 10 months in. The cost is $4,000. It has been that same cost. They have presented a contract for the coming years, and we're having some discussion on that. It's still it might go up $600, but we're having a discussion on that, and I expect we'll have that for you before the year's out, because we've talked with our police, et cetera, and it's a cost saver for us.
Any questions from council?
No.
Waive the three? Okay. We have another ordinance up, it's the ordinance 25003. How do you read that? Or we can-
Yeah.
Let me read it then. It's an ordinance, the very last, on the second page, last one. An ordinance to amend the electors of the city of New Franklin, a proposal to amend section 7.05, 7.06, and 7.07 of the charter, and declaring that this ordinance shall be effective immediately upon passage.
So, yeah, I recommended this, talked about this last year, and with new council people coming and stuff, what I'd probably like to do is just pull this, and if council wants to still move forward with something like this at a later time, maybe next spring, something, we can have those discussions then.
Okay, so we pull it? Okay. Withdrawn, and we will conclude the laws and ordinances.
You got one more.
One more? Oh, yes, I'm gonna turn this over to my esteemed colleague to my left. Mr. Allen.
Yeah, we talked about this last council meeting, and we had a lot of great feedback from everybody, and continue to get a lot of feedback. I like I'll read it. So we have the second reading of ordinance number 25004, an ordinance providing for the regulations of short-term rental operations. And I like to thank the paper for getting it out there. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've been working on a lot of revisions since last council meeting, and every time I get a revision down on paper and start working it through, someone else calls me. So it's been very phenomenal to see the feedback that we're all receiving, especially I at least. All the calls, all the interested people calling me, and with that, we're still working on it. I'm trying to make a really pretty red line draft so I can show everybody all the changes we've made and what we're working towards as well on that.
So we're gonna give more time, right?
Yeah. Any other questions or comments on that?
No, I know we've got some people here that would like to talk about this, I'm assuming, full house.
Do we want to wait for the public comment section, or do we want to open the floor now?
That is up to you, if you want to.
Chairperson, public comment is you. You want to do during public comments? All right.
With the public comment?
Yeah.
Public comment, let's get it for.
Perfect. All right. Anything else, guys? For closing? No? All right, we're gonna close the laws and ordinances committee meeting at 6:40.
All right, next is going to be finance, Mr. Cox.
Thank you. We will open a finance committee meeting at 6:39 or 6:40, whatever it says on your clock. Resolution authorizing the transfer funds from the general fund to the police district fund and declaring an emergency. This is resolution 25R63. And this is our standard transfer of funds from the general fund to the police district fund in the amount of $350,000. Questions, comments? Wave 3. Next, we have resolution 25R64, a resolution authorizing transfer of funds and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. And this is from the police contractual for $100,000 to the police OPMF. Ms. Cook, can you share with us some information on this, please?
Sure can. As you know, in the budget for 2024, 5, we had set aside in the general fund along that line, the police contractual, with $100,000. They thought they might use it to build a building, but they haven't gotten to that. So but they need the money for some of the ending payments for salary, OPNF, and those kinds of things. So rather than going through 3 or 4 steps to actually transfer the funds from the general fund to the police fund, we can just transfer it to a line for the police within the general fund so that they're able to use it for what they need.
You mentioned OPS. Will you explain what that is?
Okay.
For everybody else.
Ohio Police and Fire. That is their retirement fund for most of the police, not all of them. Some are still in OPERS because when we changed from township to village and city, there's a legal availability for them to choose if they are a policeman were a policeman and during that time that they could stay with OPERS, which is what they were before. And we have like 3 people, 3 out of the other policemen that stayed with OPERS, but all of the policemen after that are members of the Ohio Police and Fire. And OPERS is Ohio Public Retirement System, so they're both retirement systems.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Wave 3, questions, comments? I should have gone in different order. All right, we will ask the wave for 3, and we will close the Finance Committee at 6:41.
All right, next is going to be community development, Mr. Schaefer.
We will open Community Development Committee at 6:41. We have third reading on Resolution 25-R-55. Resolution approving a developer performance and maintenance agreement with Atkins PLX Holdings LLC for public improvements in the tax increment financing districts 1 and 2 and declaring an emergency. I know several people have questions on this. Did everybody get their questions answered?
I did. I reached out to Mr. Butterworth. He had sent me responses to my questions. I don't know if anybody else has reached out to him or not.
Anybody else have questions, comments? Mayor, you need to chime in here.
This is somewhat of a standard agreement that would be executed between a municipality and a developer when they're coming in to do a development. It will only become effective if the final plat is approved. But it makes sense to have it in place so that if the final plat's approved, then we already have the structure for what's expected relative to the development.
Do we want to vote on this one?
Yeah, we could. I know, my thoughts on it, and this is just my thoughts. I'm not a big TIF person. I know we've already passed that stuff. I see a TIF as being used for various other things. But once again, that's just my personal thought on this. I know originally with the last language, with the last resolution we passed for the TIF, I had some discussions regarding the House Bill 335, I think it was. And that was at the same time we were looking at approving the original TIF. And one of my concerns there was how is that 335 going to affect, because it's going to take away all the inside millage. How is that going to affect the project? Just running some preliminary numbers on that, there was about a $2.5 million deficit that was going to be created if that inside millage went away on that TIF. I had some of those discussions with the developer and stuff. And he didn't even know about it. I gave him some sources to contact and look into that. I'm following up with those sources. He never did reach out for anything. But I'm kind of in that same thought where I think this is for something that's more of a city type infrastructure bill. I know we're doing this for the city and stuff, but I see this as more of a partnership with somebody versus something we're doing for the city itself.
How do you mean a partnership?
Well, we're partnering with the developer to do the TIF. Without this, it is I'm not sure if he would do the project or not without it, because it's my point.
Well, the TIF districts have already been approved. Council approved those months ago.
Right.
So this legislation isn't about whether or not the city's going to do a TIF. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No, I know the TIF's already approved.
Okay.
This is more like a maintenance agreement for the TIF.
There you go.
So that's what I'm looking at there.
Right.
So this is not approving the TIF. The TIF's already been approved, but this is just a maintenance agreement of how the TIF is going to work all my questions that I had asked about this to Mr. Butterworth were, with the thought, is the city protected? And he answered all those questions to my satisfaction, that we are protected in this.
And I want to make clear that this is not a partnership. Any developer that comes, and I hope they come, and if the development is approved through planning and zoning, which this was preliminarily and then approved by council, and then the final plat was approved unanimously by planning and zoning, regardless of who the developer is, they're going to need one of these.
Right.
So it's not, I don't want anybody to leave here with the impression that this is some kind of a partnership between the city and this particular developer. I just want to be clear on that. I don't want anybody to be confused on that, because sometimes people get confused on that issue.
Right, I see what you're saying, and I see I could take the term partnership differently depending on who's taking that term. So I thanks for clarification on that. So, yeah, those are just the comments that I have on it.
All right, we will take this vote. And we will close Community Development Committee at 6:46.
All right, with that, we'd like to call the order, the City of Franklin Council meeting. Please join for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cox? Mr. Schaefer?
Present.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Powell?
Present.
Mr. Stiles?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Present.
Mr. Almond?
Present.
All right, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes for the regularly scheduled meeting of October 15th?
I'll make a motion.
First, do you have a second?
Second.
First and second, right?
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Same.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we enter into our public comment. If you'd like to address council, please state your name and address, and we'll have 4 minutes to discuss your items. Anybody?
Hi, Greg Bowman, 4057 Milton. I'm sure you heard about the events at the Airbnb in Bath Township over the weekend where the gunfire erupted and 6 people are still hospitalized as of last night. Had all the usual elements, absentee owner, mostly teenage guests, party advertised on social media. Cleveland.com article today stated that party houses are becoming an increasing problem and cited events in Parma, Seven Hills, Cleveland Heights, Cleveland, and Lakewood. Unfortunately, once an Airbnb owner rents their house to another person, they have little control over what occurs during the rental period. Visitors using STRs on weekends, getaway treat homes like party venues, especially near the water, and frequently exceed maximum occupancy and noise regulations. So, really hoping to get something done with this pretty soon.
Anybody else like to address council?
I live at 4085 Melton Avenue.
And your name?
And my name is Martin McDowell.
Thank you.
I generally stay in Florida all winter, but I came back last May to the announcement there would be an Airbnb placed behind my house, and I took a wait and see approach to see everything that I needed to know whether or not to form an opinion about it. And, I have waited, and I've seen have a video of an arrest that was made there October the 17th at midnight, 11:30 to midnight, with 4 New Franklin Township cruisers in the court behind my house. Very noisy. Lady was screaming. I really didn't appreciate that very much. And the next morning when I got up, there were tire tracks in my yard. Unfortunately now, I don't see it as a benefit in the neighborhood. And come dawn's light, there's tire tracks in my yard and my drain pipes run over, and people come in the back there thinking that's a through street, and it is not. It is a court. So they turn around once they figure that out, and they back into my driveway and run into my carport and run up into the yard. with really very little regard. So I'm sorry to say, I'm really not in support of the Airbnb in my neighborhood anymore. I just would like to put that out there for those that think that it's always a good idea to grant people the permission to move in as a transient hotel. I don't agree with it, and that's my opinion.
Anybody else?
My name is Lou Friedman, 4067 Melton Avenue. And I've only been in the area for 3 years. I moved from Vermillion. And we did a lot of work with Airbnbs. We have the Vermillion River right on Lake Erie. And one of the things we found that was when an area, I'm not sure how to say it, got a reputation, but you would get people, particularly owners, and so when you started getting groups, that's when the Vermillion Police Department noticed they were really becoming a problem. So one of the things they did, Vermillion's broken down, there's a city and there's a township. So and honestly, I don't remember which now, but one just banned them, but the other put restrictions on space, which seemed to help. And the police liked it because they could then separate situations. And you could have groups of neighbors, I don't want to call it a watch party, but they could watch if it wasn't all pushed together. So I think it's a good idea that whether or not a community grants Airbnbs to have some kind of structure to keep it under control, if that makes sense.
Could you expand on your comment about they creating a space, or what do you mean by there's a space there?
You know, I don't want to say anything and be wrong, because I was just a resident, but I actually lived on the Vermillion River. So I can tell you, and we were in the city, but I can't remember the exact, I know we kind of started at it and we ended up with a noise ordinance. If you live on the water, it sounds incredible the way it travels. And I think what that was I want to say it was 10:30, that was like quiet time per se. And then I can't remember if it was by houses. I don't know what the rule actually ended up being. But first it was like they had to be 20 houses apart. And then I remember that 300 feet seemed to be like a state regulation, or one of the council people had recommended that, and the attorney said, because there was, or maybe it was just another community, might have been Norwalk or Huron. So they were trying to stay consistent so they could have, if they had legal issues and how they enforced their permits, et cetera. So it was kind of like trying to space them out so they didn't become a group. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So, thank you.
Anybody else with
Yeah, my name is Kim Morris. I live at 425 Kirk Avenue. I've lived out here about 17 years. The thing we've always noticed, all the neighborhoods, we felt like we lived in a bubble. We were protected. We didn't have to worry about what was going on next door because they've been here for a while. I'm a renter, not a short-term renter. I'm 17 years. But we've always felt like we was very secure, very safe. You know, don't lock the garage door, don't worry about stuff sitting out. A lot of times don't lock my back door and leave the house. When you start bringing people from other areas in on just a short-term spell, they don't have to worry about what's going to happen with it. They don't have to worry about who's going to destroy something or what somebody else is going to do. But us people who are here all the time, we moved down here because we liked it. This was an area we wanted to live. It was an area we wanted to have our kids and our friends come to. I felt proud of it. When you start putting one here, one here, one here, one here, maybe they're not all problems. Well, I know the places that I've rented before, there was a time limit. You had to stay for 5 days or a week, not a day. A day's a hotel. Now, I've stayed in hotels for one day a lot, never an Airbnb. And it just kind of, if you don't stop it, if you don't put some kind of order towards, then we can be in inner city Akron in a heartbeat. We're not that far away. And I like the way my neighborhood is.
Thank you. For the record, I want to mention there's a lot of nice neighborhoods in inner city Akron. I'm sure you didn't mean that.
I didn't mean that.
I know you didn't, but but I respect everything else you had to say there. Okay.
Johnny Knight, 4093 Out Court. I do own a short-term rental in New Franklin. I also have one in Coventry Township. Been operating for the last couple of years as a way to, it's 2025, being a property owner, you have established rights, and what is important to me, it gives me and my family a chance to enjoy the lakes. Portage Lakes is a state park, it is a state lake. Anybody is welcome to go to the lakes at any given time, and many of those visitors are coming to go to the Tudor House. A lot of times there's wedding venues there. A lot of those guests that are coming, they're choosing to stay in the city of New Franklin in a short-term rental, and there's not very many hotel options. As a host, I require 2-night minimum. I've never had any issues. There was an incident stated that did happen at my property. There was not an arrest. First time I've ever had the cops called, and the person inside the property did, because there was a dispute between a husband and a wife. The following day, actually that night, I called the city of New Franklin PD to make sure everything was okay. The following day, I had called the council as well. But just really want to thank you guys for your efforts on trying to establish an ordinance, because rules are important, and I know the state's trying to do it, but when there's not rules, there's a lot of gray areas, and someone like myself as a homeowner can be in a tough spot, but neighbors can too. There's no rules to go by. So I do highly encourage you guys to pass some type of ordinance, just to provide fairness across the board. As an owner, I do try to respect all my neighbors. I follow the noise ordinance. I have house rules. I have security cameras to monitor that. As for like parties, there's no parties, no events allowed. And then also I want to share with you guys the positives that short-term rentals bring to the city of New Franklin. I showed the Tudor House, supports tourism, ability to capitalize on taxes. There's a lot of local businesses that are seasonal. Short-term rentals contribute to that. In addition to that, it gives a chance just for everyone to be able to enjoy the lake. And then some feedback in your current proposed ordinance. Annual permit, I think $1,000 annually is pretty steep. I'd like to encourage you guys to consider looking at other permits that you guys have for other areas and reference that. Also look at other cities. I don't disagree that there should be a price for it, because it is your time and effort. You're asking zoning to pick up more, you're asking different people to take on more tasks. So I'm in support of paying a permit. The state's trying to do it for 25. That might be too low, and if you guys get ahead of it, you may be able to regulate. Parking, I think it's important to set rules on parking. If the house is a 3-bedroom home, maybe 3 cars, or what the driveway can support. That can be a part of the application process. No street parking, I think that's unfair. I don't think short-term rental guests should be parking in the street, but I've had a couple instances where someone's coming, they're coming to visit family, and family from New Franklin or Coventry are coming to visit them, and they're allowed to park on the street, but they're not allowed to because they're visiting a short-term rental. It can be very subjective. I think if the street has a no parking sign, nobody should be able to park on the street. Again, we're not marking this for parties. 2-night minimum. I've never allowed less than 2 nights at my properties, and I do that because I don't want a party. I want people who are coming to visit family, they're here for a wedding. So 2-night minimum, I highly recommend. And then distance within 45 minutes or an hour is very fair and reasonable. I know you guys mentioned 10 miles. I live 11 miles away. So, and I'm actively participating and involved. I do the day-to-day. I'm cleaning it, my wife's cleaning it, or I do have a property manager that's involved as well. So just encourage you guys to relook at that, and maybe it's 45 minutes, an hour, or if the owner is state occupied. I did do a survey and reached out to a lot of the other local hosts. There's only a couple of hosts that actually don't live in the state that have properties in Franklin. And I think altogether there was 10 to 15. So that's everything I got.
Thanks for coming in tonight.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You first. Teresa Bowen, 4057 Melton. I know the council has been concerned about overreach. And I just want to say that when somebody buys a home in New Franklin, you know, we also have rights as we pay taxes. And, you know, we don't expect to live next to a hotel or motel, and that affects our ability to sell our house too, I think. If you think, you know, it negatively could affect our ability to sell if you find out you're living next to an Airbnb. I think that is something to consider. And I think that there should be a requirement. You don't want to have a whole bunch of Airbnbs in one area. And I know that Coventry, I believe, has a 300-foot between, a requirement between. And if our neighbors in Coventry who live around the lake also have that requirement, I don't see why New Franklin can't have that requirement also, and I don't think that that is overreach.
Hi, Shannon Donahue, 1145 West Comet. I'm also a short-term rental owner, and I have long-term properties that I rent as well. I understand the concerns. I mean, I do believe there needs to be rules and regulations. Coventry Township does have the 300-foot rule, which I have no problem with. Registration fees, I mean, $1,000 is extremely steep. I don't think we make as much money off these properties as you guys think we do. Parties, concerns, we do a 2-night minimum as well, and that's kind of eliminated. People coming into the area and having parties. We don't want our properties used as a party venue. We put a lot of time, money, and effort into maintaining our properties, just like worrying about property values. Probably 3 of my properties that I own now, if I put it on the market and sold it, I would lose a ton of money because we put that much into making sure that they're nice and maintained and I'm sorry. I mean, I think that they're done above and beyond what I would do even for a long-term rental. It's kind of out of line. I wasn't prepared to speak today. I was just kind of coming in to sit and listen to see what the regulations were going to be. But, you know, for me and my family, I've invested in this area because this is where we live and this is where, you know, eventually I would like to pass my properties along to my kids. And this is an area that I would like them to be. We cater to a lot of families that are coming into town that are visiting family. They live out of state. We've had people who have been in for work that have stayed in our properties for months. You know, we had someone that worked for Fox 8 News, stayed at one of our property for 3 months. So it's not all people that are in the area just to throw parties. I mean, we are catering to families. So you can take that into consideration. You know, there's something, Airbnb has a 0 tolerance to parties. So even if we have maybe some sort of a registration to where hosts or owners can be contacted in case there was something going on, I mean, I want to know. I'm sure you want to know something's going on. So, you know, we can get them out. Like if we contact Airbnb, we can get those people removed if they're violating the terms. Long-term renters, I can't do that. You know, if I rent one of these houses to a long-term renter, and they're driving you crazy, they're probably under a lease for a year. So, and I can't go, I have to go through, I have to have a reason to get rid of them, not just that they're annoying the neighbor. So, you know, these renters are usually there for 2-3 days, and if they are violating Airbnb policy, we can get rid of them quickly. So, you know, I have no problems with the surrounding neighbors having my telephone number or some sort of a registry just so we can be in contact. But other than that, I mean, obviously I don't want to see a ban on it because the properties that I have, you know, by the time I pay my mortgage, maintenance, cleaning, taxes, all those fees, I wouldn't be able to afford the property if I wasn't running it through short-term rentals. So that's it.
Anybody else?
I don't know, this is kind of off subject a little bit, but I do a lot of long-term rentals. I got old. Just for the thought that I think an eviction process in a long-term rental it's a lot more complicated, but in general, it's 30 days, right?
Takes a lot longer than 30 days.
Because what I was experienced with is once you give a first notification, in the process, okay, I kind of wondered, actually, I was kind of looking for information on this one. Obviously, that's not 2 days, but affecting a long-term rental, you can do it, it's just more of a process, like getting a first warning, second warning. But, thank you.
Marilyn Crosby, 4147 Melcher Avenue. I just have a question. Have any of you been to our neighborhood to see what the situation is that we're talking about? Because we have one short-term rental that's 5 feet apart from the other house, and then down the street, there's another short-term rental that's got a live property, and they haven't had any issues with any of the people complaining about them. I just wondered if anybody had been there to see what it was. Because it's easy to say 5 feet, but when you see it, it really gets home, I think.
I was actually out on Outport actually this morning looking, so.
Okay, thank you.
I've been there too.
Been there many times.
I'd just like to say one more thing about Outport. Outport is a one-lane street. It's a dead end. Now, parking, it blocks the other neighbors from access to their homes if Airbnb guests are parking in the street. And sometimes they pull off, they try to get over into the yard. I understand, it just is a situation where there's not enough parking. Now, some of the neighbors have welcomed them, gave them parking area to park for a while, but that it's really not going to alleviate the problem when 5 or 6 or more cars show up. And they have nowhere to go. And like she said, these places are 5 to 6 feet apart. So when a guy gets up in the morning and he's brushing his teeth and he looks out the window, there's a stranger staring at him. How you doing? It's not very convenient for people who've lived there for 30 years. They're just, in a way, they're just too close together down there on Outport. Now, I don't know about the other ones. Don't even know where they are. But if they have no problem with them, then I have no problem with them. But in this situation, that is just too close together. And there's not enough parking to have that Airbnb there.
Anybody else? See any more public comments? Then move on.
I'll chime in now because I didn't comment when you were earlier, and I'm assuming you're probably going to take more time on this. And so rather than, and I don't know if there'll be more conversation, but I've vacillated on this one. And there was a time I thought it made sense to have some, well, first of all, if we're going to allow them, I think it definitely makes sense to have some regulations. And I know previously there was a lot of hard work put into this, and then there was a concern that Columbus was going to preempt anything that we might do, and so it got put on the shelf, and now there's been a whole lot of hard work on it. I respect that. But the longer I heard, we don't have a problem with them until there's a problem with them. And in due respect, I appreciate the owners coming in and talking. It's not the good people that mess it up, But we do have some unique characteristics of the community, being lakefront and some of those old lots. And maybe it's one thing if it's 50 feet away, and maybe it's something else if it's 5 feet away, and should we have distances between houses, and then, I don't know, and then the unfortunate incident in Bath, which is not the first one, that's the second one out there, and it wasn't that long ago, there was one in Copley as well. And it just, 2 weeks ago when somebody said, you probably wouldn't like one if there was next to your house, and I thought, he was right. And maybe I'm wrong that way. But I would not be comfortable. And that's just the truth. And maybe that makes me a bad person, but I'm just telling you the truth. And I don't know how they add to the community necessarily. So I hate to, cut the legs out from any owner or anybody who's trying to make trying to support themselves on these things. But it just, as I sit here right now, I would be in favor of a prohibition. I think, now, how that's gonna unfold, I don't know. Probably no matter what we adopt, at some point in time, we may end up in litigation. And whatever we adopt, there's likely gonna be an attempt from Columbus to preempt it. And then there's gonna be litigation on the home rule issue, because we're not the only ones that are dealing with this topic. It's just, I just don't know what they necessarily add. I have looked at some case law. I'm not speaking as the law director or as the attorney on this thing. I'm just telling you that from my view, from my review of some case law, that I'm aware that there are some courts that have looked at this on full preemptions. And as long as there's as long as the preemption is reasonably related to legitimate interests of the municipality, and in the cases I've looked at, most of those had to do with preserving rural character, which has been a common theme out here. With the combination of the lakefronts and the different dimensions, I just think it's so. I would be inclined myself to go in that direction. And if there's litigation, there's litigation. If the court says you can't do that, well, then you can always fall back to whatever Columbus is going to let us do on these. So I'm not asking anybody to agree with me, but I just thought that I should express my opinion.
Thanks. And I will say that this is something that we've had a lot of internal discussion about. And this is not something that we're just letting, there's not just 3 people working on this. There's engagement, and we're looking at the conditional use codes and everything else to see what fits, what doesn't. So.
Well, since the mayor has spoken on the subject, I'll take a moment to also. I was part of the original group a few years ago trying to come up with a solution for the short-term rentals. And I have stated in the past that I would not want one in my neighborhood. But as I've gotten more into this, I don't know. I don't agree with a ban on it. I don't see where that's effective. Using the Bath situation this weekend, there's a ban in Bath, and they still have the Airbnb, and that really didn't solve anything for them by doing an outright ban. We have laws within the city for noise and other issues, and when there's an issue, our police department handle the situation, whether it's an Airbnb or whether it's somebody that's lived in their house for 50 years. They're all handled the same. And we really haven't had issues in New Franklin with short-term rentals or concerns that the police have been involved in. Yes, we had that one in October. You're going to have that, whether it's a short-term rental, a long-term rental, homeowners, family, you're going to have situations, and we have laws, and police follow those laws and deal with situations as they come up. I think it was mentioned, you mentioned, if there's a problem with a short-term renter, you're able to get rid of them quickly. And if they're annoying, well, they're going to be gone in a couple of days, as opposed to they bought the house and they're your neighbor forever now. I do think we need to have regulations, and I think we've got a great, what the committee has come up with, we have a great start, and I think we're pretty close to having something. But those rules and regulations, as I read them, would not change how the police handle situations. It would just give us an opportunity when there's an owner that's not doing what they should be doing. It gives us an opportunity to revoke their permit, a conditional use permit, or however whatever process we use that, so that it doesn't, when we have good owners that are taking care of their property and they're taking care of, make sure of the people that are coming in, that's, they're not going to be penalized other than make sure that they're following the rules and, paying our fee. You said 5,000 would be a good number? No.
You want to buy a couple houses?
But I think if we have the rules in place, and Mr. Ullman, you talked about that before when you presented it, that this is something to regulate the rentals, not to ban them and not to change any noise laws or anything like that. But again, if we have owners that are consistently allowing situations to happen, we have a way of fixing that. I think that what's also very important is that we do have within our zoning a regulation as far as the distance between short-term rentals. What research that I've done with communities across the country, especially beachfront communities down south and on the East Coast, is they would lose their neighborhood basically because it would all be short-term rentals. And we don't want that. That's been brought up numerous times from the audience, that, you have, we can't have clusters of short-term rentals. That just destroys neighborhoods. So I would love to see that we have some type of distancing, like was mentioned for Vermillion, between our properties. So I just, Mayor mentioned that he's, at this point, thinking about, being in favor of just banning them. I just want to put another side to that argument. I would not be in favor at this point of banning them. More in favor of what you guys have been doing as far as creating rules that make sense and that we can, enforce that by through zoning or whatever. And I would request again, I know you've gotten a lot of comment, a lot of feedback, but I would request that if you could share your things with the owners and see, you don't have to do what they say, but get that other side, get that input from the other side, and maybe because we're looking at it as non-owners of short-term rentals, and we're trying to create these things, but let's make sure we're doing something that makes sense for both sides. It's a win-win for everybody. And I understand the concern of having a house right next door to each other. But again, if we're doing it right, if the owners are doing it right, it's not going to be an issue. It hasn't been an issue. We haven't seen the issue within the community over the last several years. And but if it becomes an issue, we have a way of fixing it. And again, if they're just annoying people, they're gone in 2 days, 3 days. They didn't buy the house and going to be there forever with you. So that's my thoughts. Just wanted to share.
Oh, I've changed my mind again. No, I really haven't. But I'm that's why I was on the bubble. So I'd say really three things. The third thing, Mr. Kotz, is they're gone in 2 or 3 days, but if it's an attractive rental, if it's on the lake, then until the next group comes the following weekend. That's a potential problem. They may only be there for a couple of days, but then you got the next one coming in. So I would recommend that. I know they were in an earlier draft, and I think they're out of it now, but that notion of some distance between these makes some sense, so you don't turn it into a neighborhood of. And I also was in favor at the beginning of some distance between houses. I don't know what that magic number is, but I think it's a little more than 5 feet, in my view. That's just awfully tight quarters.
So the person that owns that one, they're tough luck, right?
Well, I think we say some places just aren't conducive to, if you agree, if not, then, but, particularly, it strikes me particularly if it's lakefront. I start thinking what these people are paying in property taxes.
I also, I've lived on the lake for a few years, and there's a certain understanding. It isn't church, okay? I've been out there on a Saturday night and seeing boats go by and just, there's a certain amount of understanding. If not, then you were in trouble if you live on the lake. And unfortunately, there's not great people everywhere. And I just would like to know what the solution would be for people that currently are doing this. I'm more aware, I'm part of this committee, and it was a 1.5 pages long. It was just sort of like, make sure you got the smoke detectors, I guess Airbnb. We talked to Tim Canner, who had You know, I found both owners, and Tim was like this, who's a former owner, they're for some sort of regulation. There's some sort of sound monitor. They get so many loud, you know, and it doesn't pick up voices. And he said maybe we want to require that, but it was like this big. Now we're at 7 pages. My biggest thing is, I think the city is very vulnerable by passing anything right now. You know? And I hate that. I mean, I really do, because we're in a litigious society, and it's gonna cost us money by doing that. And I think, you know, you could say, well, both sides will be unhappy about what's going on, then maybe it's pretty good. But I don't know what the hourly rate of our law director is, but this can cost the city what we pass. I mean, then we hear about distances, and so we're talking about two kinds, between dwellings and out there. I think you're just saying, come soon. So.
I still comment?
It shows.
Or is it too late?
You can speak.
I still comment?
Keep it brief.
Okay, brief. Louis Friedman. 2 things, listen everybody. I live on the lake, and I think this is personal, so I'm not gonna say anything, but there's an Airbnb down the way a little bit, and this wasn't after hours, so it really didn't break any rules, but I had my grandkids over, and I'm not tuned into young people's music, and I really don't even know how to say the words we were hearing, but my grandchild came up to me and asked me what a gangbang was. And it was the song, you know, lay down on the floor, and I guess it's what young people listen to. But the point is, I think that's the kind of thing, and somebody said, you have good people and bad people. But my point is that the music was so loud, and it was afternoon, and the words to it, I found it offensive. And then I got a comment, Mr. Wolf said, is it? I was actually involved in Vermillion, and the one thing I was always taught was bad people prosper, good people don't do anything. So I think this is a wonderful community since I've been here, and I hope you guys, and I'm not for or against the ban. I don't know what the answer is, but I do think, I hope you all preserve your community. This is a great place. So, thank you.
I have one question. It's very simple. What is the zoning regulations about having a commercial business in a single-family residential area?
We had a lot of discussion about that earlier at that, and we're still working on that. Because it just depends on how you view that home. Because you can have an actual rental, if you do a long-term rental, I mean, that's not really considered a business as far as our code.
Right.
But is it now considered a business when you're doing it repeatedly, short-term, every weekend? So that's what we're trying to look at.
The reason I brought this up is because in 1993, when I bought my property, I opened my garage up to my friends to come and fix motorcycles. I would change tires and batteries and oil changes, and I did this for about 6 months until the day I received a cease and desist letter. That I was not allowed to have a commercial business in my neighborhood because it's a single-family neighborhood. And so I had to curtail that business. And now it seems there's another way around that. And I'd like to get some clarification. It just doesn't seem to be that zoning would permit a business to be opened up in a single-family residential neighborhood. I don't understand. How can that be? That's my question.
But 30 days, it's okay, right? Because we do have a lot of rentals here. You think that's not a business?
What's that?
If that's not a business, I think what Kevin was trying to say is it's really hard to decipher when does it become a profitable business. So if somebody rents for 1 year lease, that's not a business, and we're not allowed to do that, or we are allowed to do that. But short-term rentals is a business, and that's the gray area that we have to try to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm with you about it's tough.
There has to be a
And
zoning
we've all
regulation.
vacillated. Like, none of us are knowing what we're going to do. It's a tough thing.
This incident that happened in Bath Township, they said on the news that they are going to issue a cease and desist.
You know, that was terrible what happened in Bath, and they even had them all banned. I mean, that was truly a failure of enforcement of
Exactly.
rules
I
they
don't think
already
it would
had.
happen in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm just
We
thinking,
don't.
I don't think anything like that would become close
Yeah,
to
we-
that.
In any neighborhood.
I mean, before there was 4 cars there, it would be, oh,
Where do you find out information about zoning regulations?
it's on,
It's on his
public
webpage.
information, it's all public, easy to
It's
access.
public
You can call the
information.
zoning office, yeah, you can send.
It's on the webpage.
It's on the webpage. And,
I'm just asking, I really don't know.
yeah, no, that's good.
yeah, what truly
But
is
from my
tragic,
own experience.
yeah, what happened in Bath is truly tragic. They have them all banned already, you know, it was truly a failure of enforcement that happened there. We have no regulations right now, and that's what we're truly trying to work on, and that's why we're on our second reading. Gonna move it to a third reading, because we love all this input that we're receiving right now, and we're trying to balance this all out.
Right, and to give you just a real quick,
I was just gonna say, I mean, it is tragic what happened in Bath, but that could happen at any teenage house party in any city. I mean, it could happen out here, it doesn't have to be a short-term rental, long-term rental. It could be someone that owned their house out here for 30 years, and their kids threw a party and someone came and something tragic happened. So I think, you know, grouping New Franklin short-term rentals with what happened in Bath just isn't fair. That can happen anywhere, at any time.
last comment.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to get one more thing. A lot of the questions that you guys have shared are a lot of the same questions that cities all across the state of Ohio and all across the United States are asking. That's why, again, I encourage whether the state coming up with regulation and the framework to adopt, or you guys adopt it, when there's not written rules, there's a lot of gray areas. And I think some of the challenges I've experienced personally as a homeowner is because there's no rules in place. And again, my direct neighbors don't have an issue on the one side. It's a couple neighbors down, and they created a problem for the entire neighborhood. And I've just been a victim of it. I've done everything I can. I've spoken to legal counsel, I've sent out cease and desist. It just doesn't stop. My family's handling it, but the purpose of this house isn't to cause disruption to the neighborhood. It's to allow people to enjoy the beauties of Portage Lakes. And then the last two things is Portage Lakes, years ago these houses were built. They were built to be summer rentals, weekend rentals, and that they were built into their current footprint today, where whether they're 5 feet away or 30 feet away, a lot of them will rent it out. Not Airbnb technology wasn't there, obviously, but you can call a number or go somewhere and get your family for the weekend. The last thing I'd like to just ask everyone here, have you ever stayed at an Airbnb before, and what was your experience? So, Marty.
All right, we're gonna move on with our meeting. We're going to do our first reading here. Kelly, resolution 25R56.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to accept a fiscal year 2024 Assistance to Firefighters Grant and approving the purchase of 4 Stryker LP35 cardiac monitors and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution number 25R. I'd like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings on resolution 25R56 as amended.
I'll second.
Need a first and a second?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution 25R56 as amended.
Second. Need a first and a second?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Resolution 25R62.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a renewal of an intergovernmental agreement with the county of Summit and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was brought in front of the Laws and Ordinance Committee and asked to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
First and second?
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0.
I'd like to,
That was the waive. That was the waive.
Just to waive.
I move that we adopt Resolution 25R62.
Second.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Now it passes 7-0.
Yeah.
Resolution 25R63, Kelly.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the general fund to the police district fund and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is assigned to the Finance Committee. We'd like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings of 25R63.
Second.
There's a first and a second.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 25R63.
Second.
There's a first and a second, Kelly.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes, resolution passes 7-0. Resolution 25R64.
A resolution authorizing the transfer of funds and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution is also assigned to the Finance Committee. We move to waive the 3 readings on 25R64.
Second.
There's a first and a second.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
We move to adopt resolution 24R64.
Second.
There's a first and a second.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Ordinance 25004.
Sorry, need to read it.
An ordinance providing for the regulation of short-term rental operations.
Ask for time.
Resolution 25R55.
A resolution approving a developer performance and maintenance agreement with Adkins PLX Holdings LLC for public improvements in tax increment financing districts 1 and 2 and declaring an emergency.
This was brought forth before the Community Development Committee. Make a motion to adopt resolution 25-R-55.
There's a first and a second.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
No.
Mr. Stiles?
I have a working relationship with one of the vendors involved with the project, so in order to avoid any appearance of impropriety, I will be abstaining from voting on this.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Resolution passes 5-1. Ordinance 25003, Kelly.
An ordinance submitting to the electors of the City of New Franklin a proposal to amend sections 7.05, 7.06, and 7.07 of the charter and declaring that this ordinance shall be effective immediately upon passage.
We'd like to table this to a date.
Yeah, we're going to
Withdrawn? Oh, I'm sorry, we were withdrawing this ordinance.
Next, our favorite part of the meeting, the mayor's report.
All right, almost home. Let's see. First of all, I want to express appreciation as a mayor, but also as somebody who lives here, for the passage of the fire levy. It's all these issues can become so confusing, but the way this works is, every 5 years we can pass this. The levy is good for 5 years, and then it expires, and it makes up 90% of the revenue. I mean, the cost for our fire and our EMS. Without this, we would be in dire straits. So I fully respect and understand anybody who voted no, but I also especially want to thank everybody who voted yes, because it's kind of a necessary evil that we got to pay for this stuff. So I wanted to express that. And on that note, I'll try not to be too long-winded, but the whole notion of property taxes, since we've got a few people in the room, it's sometimes on the fire levy they say, well, the city's got plenty of money. And the reason I'm talking about this is because there's a broader initiative going on to do away with property taxes altogether. And you're probably aware of that, all right? And as I sit up here, and I've been up here for 8 years, there's one thing I can tell you, and you don't gotta take my word for it, and we post this stuff and we invite as deep an inquiry as anybody ever wants to look. We're not sitting on piles of money. We're very judicious in terms of what is spent. The city has been that way and it continues to be that way. I've had an eye into county government. I believe it's the same situation. I don't see frivolous purchases. Everybody's playing very close to the vest. So there are not piles of money. We have about $11 million, $12 million of revenue every year. And the fire department costs about $3.5 million of that money. And if that levy doesn't pass, we don't have that $3 million. And so now we got $8 million to try to do $11 million worth of work. All right. And we've got, through prudent management, we've got what you call a nest egg or a rainy day fund, but that would expire pretty quickly without that levy. So it was critical that it passed. It did. And I tell you, I say that because we need to continue the conversation collectively about property taxes, because the same thing is true entirely. If the amendment passes to eliminate property taxes, the city will lose about $7 million. And when that happens, it's going to be catastrophic for New Franklin and for every city and village and municipality in the state of Ohio. Because there are not piles of money to make up for that. And what's going to, services are going to get cut. It's just that simple. In terms of paving, in terms of plowing, in terms of the number of police officers, and the number, I don't know exactly what we would do if we were, if we cut right, if we collectively as residents lost half of our revenue. It's an ugly picture. So, until somebody comes up with other ways to replace that revenue, I just really encourage people to take a good hard look on this, and not be sort of fooled by the fact that, okay, we're going to get rid of property taxes and I got an extra $3,000 or $4,000 this year, but I don't know if they're going to come when I hit 911. And not to mention the fact I don't know if they're going to plow when it snows. And it's not just in my city, it's where I am. So forgive me for going on about that, but I think we need to continue to have that discussion collectively as people, not necessarily as politicians. So anyhow, I'm glad the fire levy passed. And thanks very much to the folks that worked really hard on that, and particularly here in the city, it was Katie Smith, and it was Steve Cook, and Adam Gilliard. He was the front man for the fire department on this thing. So they did yeoman's effort, and we're very happy about that. All right, speaking of digging up the city, that fiber ring is coming to Summit County. It is coming to New Franklin, and likely in January. Those rights, we'll post those routes. It's not nearly as intrusive as what Loomis was talking about. It's pretty much State Route 93, 619. They come in and do a little loop towards Clinton. They also will have abundant notices of where they're digging, and we have talked to them about possibly if Loomis is going to do something over there, maybe they'll do it collectively. We're also going to be digging on a sewer over there at that point in time, but they're not going to want to be in that line. But in any event, so there's a heads up on that they'll be coming. And they've got a variety of ways to notify people when they're going to be in that area, and we'll pass those out. We'll make sure everybody has access to those. So again, we expect that to be to start in January. I can't remember how long they said it was going to take. A couple. Huh?
6 months.
6 months for the summit, not Lumos, these guys. Oh. Yeah, this is the Summit Connects. Yeah, it's not as long of a route. They've covered that, so I think a couple months. All right. Secondly, I want to mention that, let's see, next Thursday, I don't want to get this date wrong. Oh yeah, it's for us. 2 weeks from tonight, there'll be the public hearing here on the recommendation from Planning and Zoning for the final plat for the water line. So that's a public hearing here. It starts at 6 o'clock. That'll be the next council meeting on the 19th of November. Also, waiting in the wings after we're done with that, Dan Rice and George Eby from the Ohio Erie Canalway will make a brief presentation to council and the people who talk about the connector trail. We had some original planning grant for that. The idea of trying to connect the Portage Lakes State Park with the towpath. I know there's resistance from some of the property owners on Vanderhoof. So they're gonna talk about it and the impact and why they think it's important and what the impact might be on the community. All right, enough on that. I need a motion. We approved some modification, actually, in terms of, well, we talked about how we're able to dispose of a property that's doesn't have value to us anymore. And we have a resolution that permits, well, we thought we could do this through SCIPCO, and we've done that a couple times. Looking hard at the statute, it still requires some publication and then some form of a bidding process. So we've looked at that and we've determined that we can accomplish that still using SCIPCO, but schedule out the date of the auction and advertise it for the 2 weeks that we have to before the fact. And then it will be a bid basis, but it'll be open bid at the SCIPCO auction. So with that in mind, but we still need a motion and approval of council to proceed with the sale. The fire department has a 2011 Ford Expedition with 90,000 miles on it. So this vehicle is 14 years old, 90,000 miles. And they want to proceed with the sale of that. And for the minimum bid amount of $1,500.
Do you need a motion just for the generalization, like to make a motion for that, or just for that specific one?
For this specific item. So
Okay,
each time we do it, we need a separate motion. So I need a motion to proceed with the sale of this 2011 Ford Expedition.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it. Kelly?
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, that's all I got.
Sue?
Yes, just wanted to remind you that you've been sent the spreadsheet, the budget spreadsheet for 2026. So if you have any questions after you look over it, there have been a few changes since we had the meetings, which it's now being reviewed by the department heads, although we discussed it, they're just doing their last review. But if you have any questions or just need any explanation on it, please let me know. At the next meeting, then that spreadsheet will now take the form of a resolution, and you've seen the budget before because it's all been here. And basically, the line items will be turned into, for each fund, personnel services and other charges. So that makes it easier for us to transfer appropriations in between those areas when necessary during the year. So please, if you have any questions or you just want me to go over it, I mean, I will speak to it a little more when we actually have the resolution. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's all I have.
Do we have any old business?
I would like to ask again for people to donate to the food bank. It's so important right now, and people do need that. They have anything extra, and they buy in such a large quantity, they can spend our $50 and get $300 worth, and we cannot. So people really need that right now. So if you can't afford to, please do.
What's the date for Field of Cruiser? Isn't that coming up?
This Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah, I'm
good
glad you mentioned
donation.
that. And if you call the police department, if you look on the website, we wrote about it, it's posted up there. And they will come around on Saturday and make the pickups, and they just need to know by Friday if you have any goods for them to come pick up.
And they'll take
Or if you want to get it
donations
here
of
to the
money,
city
too.
before then, you can do that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They'll take donations of money too.
Okay. I noticed you talked over me there.
I did. Was that a call with them? I think it was. I'm picking up from you, kid.
I'd just like to say, after we just wrapped up the elections and we had the levy passed and stuff, I'd just like to thank everybody for running a respectful campaign. It was nice.
Pretty much, until the very end, but.
I think a few of us were targets of that, so.
I never feel like a target, and I'm so appreciative for the votes. I really am.
You ain't on Facebook.
I don't use Facebook. You see, you stay away from bad things. What can I say?
Any other old business?
We also have the leaf drop off this Saturday, continues through the month of November, from 9 until 3 o'clock. So we've had a lot of wind today. We probably have a lot of little branches and leaves and stuff bring down.
Speaking of the leaves, and we had the electronics drop off last weekend, and I think that was pretty successful. So thanks again for having that all set up.
And it's, you know, beautiful, it's being done with grant money, so
Mhm.
that's a real plus.
Well, and so much of what you said earlier about the fire department, those men and women show that every day. They are so good, they really are. I can see that.
Do you have any new business? One thing I wanted to mention, I see over the last few meetings we've had, there's a gentleman, correct me if I'm wrong, his name's Mr. Brown. He's always asking about curbside leaf pickup. And I'm familiar with the program that runs for another municipality that does curbside leaf pickup. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the expense of that. It's an extremely expensive program to run. Your equipment alone is, you're looking at $100,000 to $120,000 per unit. For a city this size, you're gonna need 8 units, 6 to 8 units. 2 guys per truck, trailer pulling it around. You typically burn about 2,000 gallons of diesel fuel through the course of a week. Then you figure in all the labor and everything else. It's a very expensive program. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars to run a 4 to 6 week program. And then on top of that, you've got to have a place to dump the leaves. We'll collect about 18,000 cubic yards of leaves. It costs you about 50 to 60,000 to dispose of. You can't just dump them anywhere. If you're running a program like that, they've got to go to this EPA certified landfill. So that's probably the biggest reason we don't have a program like that out here, is because it just takes a lot of funding resources to run a program like that, and manpower and equipment and everything else. The leaf backs, they're designed to fail. It's a piece of equipment that takes a lot of abuse. So I just wanted to comment on that real quick. One of the other things to ask council, Thanksgiving morning, we'll do our annual breakfast again for police and fire, if anybody's interested in helping.
I am.
Mayor, would you like to join this time?
I'll be out of town.
Okay.
Have an Airbnb.
Never been to one.
Kevin, it is a good thing to point out, and I think we should do that periodically, the cost of what it takes to run a city. We never think about the cost. We think about the cost to run our homes. But when you run a business, it's the same thing. You have to have this budget for everything. And the city has a huge budget. That's the reason we cannot afford some of these things. So property tax is something that if we take it away, it has to be replaced somewhere else. Has to be, because we need that money.
Any other business? Seeing none, we got our last round of public comments. Questions, anything you heard during the meeting, you'd just like to make a quick comment about? It's your chance. Seeing none, we have a need for an executive session, is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, please, Sue.
And do we need to include anybody in addition to council and mayor?
No. To discuss compensation of public employees.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of compensation for public employees. I have a first and a second, Kelly.
Mr. Cox?
Sure.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Powell? Mr. Stiles?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
All right, we're going to into executive session for decision.
Yeah, we still go.
Next meeting is November 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you.